A number of the presentations that we had were specifically orientated to the issues that the small miners face. Not only here in South Africa, but things that we could learn from elsewhere. We also had people speaking to us from the Water Affairs Department and consultants who deal with small miners and operators on a daily basis, highlighting how small operators can look at social and labour plans and environmental, social and governance issues, the whole ESG motivation, showing small operators how they can deal with these issues in their daily lives. It also highlighted to young students the fact that there is a different category of operations. Most students, when they learn about diamonds at university, they would think in terms of the big diamond mines, in terms of De Beers, Petra, those sorts of operations. What we showed them at this conference was that there's a completely different side of things as well, that the alluvial diamond industry is vibrant, it can have a great impact on the economy of the Northern Cape and the Northwest Province. It also showed how geologists, young geologists, can have an input into something which previously was thought to be not of scientific interest. So it had use for the operators to see how science can help them, and it also showed the students how they could have an impact on the small mining industry as well.
From the SATPO perspective, as far as I'm concerned, the significance of the smaller diamond producing industry is often underestimated. And a bit of statistics, whilst we produce in the vicinity of about 3% of the total production carat-wise of South Africa, the value of our production is around 25 to 30%, which makes us a significant part of the industry. And therefore, KITS was a vehicle to also emphasize the fact that us as a smaller industry is important not only in terms of our ability to create jobs, but also important in terms of our contribution towards the fiscus and the economies of the rural areas. So yes, I think it was a huge success, and I think there's international recognition of our side of the industry for the first time being exposed to this extent.
We had over 30 students from various universities around the country that we were able to support to some degree. We got significant sponsorship from OEMs and from diamond finance funds locally and internationally. And so we were able to help students. We gave all of them free registration, and then we put aside a certain amount of money which would cover their accommodation and contribute towards their transport to and from Kimberley. And we wanted to do this because students are the future of the industry. And students never have any money to do anything. And while the universities in many cases were able to contribute to them, we filled that gap so that over 30 students and entrepreneurs as well who were then able to benefit by being at a conference that they might otherwise not have been able to afford to attend?
Well, the students are the future. And to us as an organization, it's very important. We have a vision and a mission that clearly stipulates that we want to streamline our side of the industry. And the students are part and parcel of that process. And it was fantastic to get also report back from students that attended as delegates in terms of their first-hand experience of what a small operation looks like and the difference and uniqueness of specifically alluvial diamond mining. It is different to most other forms of mining, and we are also a unique brand, if I could call it that, in terms of our appetite for risk. It is really a high risk, high reward industry, which has many challenges. But over the years, we have managed to develop entrepreneurship that is helping us overcome this. And in the process, it's not just the knowledge that the students pick up at universities, but they could experience firsthand the ingenuity of how we sometimes look at equipment and adjust equipment to become practical in terms of what we are doing.
It was the first event, in-person event in the diamond space that we've had in South Africa since before the COVID lockdown. We had over 150 people who got together from all walks of the diamond sphere. We had students, we had operators, we had geologists, we had the executive chairman of De Beers came and gave a keynote address. We had international luminaries come and talk to us about the state of the diamond industry here internationally, as well as in India. It promoted the whole diamond pipeline because we had students who were learning about a different aspect of diamond mining. It was something that we can then build on in going forward. We've got a number of diamond conferences planned over certainly the next 4 or 5 years, where we can take the lessons learnt and promote it even further, identifying what has happened in the small mining space and what we hope will continue to happen in the small mining space, and never forgetting the research that goes into it. And here I need to give a shout out to the various universities who have students working on diamonds, all manner of diamond aspects. And more we're actually seeing students working on small-scale alluvial projects. So we're able to bring science into the alluvial field and drag the alluvial field into the 21st century as well.
It was absolutely necessary for us to get together again. The networking opportunities at the evening functions were also very successful, and in terms of the feedback that I received afterwards, most of the participants and delegates wants to know when is the next one. So to interact on a personal level is always important. We got used to the Teams and the Zoom meetings, but it's not really the same. So personally, it is my take that it was necessary and it was also successful.
One of the presentations that we had spoke about the whole global industry, where we're going and what the issues are internationally. Then when we come down to the local level, we had a couple of panel discussions that spoke about the issues that we're facing here in South Africa. Things like the ASM policy, the policy for artisanal and small mines, how it impacts on the small operators, how the fact that many of the small operators currently are being forced to operate under conditions that are being applied to major mining companies. The disparity between a mom and pop operation and an international corporation. We also had presentations on some of the other issues like finance, because the artisanal mining operations do not produce a bankable feasibility study. It's not possible for them to go to any of the big banks or finance funds to get finance. So it was discussed with them as to what they might do, how they might go about looking for finance, and even some of the sponsors that we had were there to listen to some of the issues that the small miners have, so that when they come to the small operators to discuss financing arrangements, they have a better understanding of the requirements of these small operators.
Obviously, we had the opportunity to discuss the newly published policy document that the DMRE has published in the Government Gazette, addressing what they call ASM mining, which is an acronym for artisanal and small-scale mining. People often err by thinking it's only artisanal mining, but it's artisanal and small-scale mining. And the policy document has got various elements where the DMRE acknowledges the shortcomings of current legislation addressing the issues that the small miners are currently facing. And the policy document obviously attempts to address those issues. But as we know, it's only a policy document still, and it must eventuate into legislation, proper practical legislation, implementable legislation. And SATPO has embarked on in collaboration with the Minerals Council in looking at the legal issues, and some of those were discussed at the symposium in a panel discussion, but it is a work in progress. And our biggest concern is that legislation is a timeous process. It's going to take years, and our side of the industry is so desperate that I do not think we have the privilege of waiting for a year or 3 or 4 or 5, and we must be able to somehow get to the low-hanging fruit issues that the policy document is talking about and addressing is, for instance, I'm going to use one example. It talks about coexistence between large-scale miners and small-scale miners. Now, specifically in the West Coast, there are areas under permit belonging to so-called large-scale miners that's inoperative at this stage. And those are the probable places where small-scale and artisanal mining can get a short-term jump start by changing a couple of regulations. But I don't want to get into the detail of the legal stuff because I'm not a lawyer, first of all. But at the end of the day, we do think that it is possible by amending some of the regulations, we can maybe get to a position where it is possible for the informal side of the diamond mining, which is rampant, specifically in the West Coast, that we can change that to formalize those and become proper legal miners, having the ability to market their product at a fair and decent market value as well. Currently, the illegal miners are dependent on whatever they get offered. It's something that we as an organization is very adamant to do whatever we can to stop the illegal side of the business, not only the mining side, but also the buying side. It is a huge, huge issue in the mining industry as a whole.
The issue of lab-grown diamonds. This is a real issue. And we're not 100% sure of how it's going to play out in due time. But there is an impact because lab-grown diamonds are significantly cheaper than natural diamonds. And with the economy the way it is, many young people are more concerned about buying their first house than buying a large natural diamond. So yes, it is a real thing, but with the marketing that is being done, and here I have to point to the marketing that is being done by De Beers, which internationally is raising the profile of natural diamonds. Again, this is a very real issue. Small operators cannot afford to wait 6 months, a year, 2 years for a permit to be approved. They need to get the backlog of permits done, not only initial permits, but repeat permit, what's the project renewals, permit renewals needs to be identified or upgraded as well, so that the operators can work with valid permits. This is something that each individual DMR office needs to look at how they can get these permits through quicker.
There's basically 3 different types of license. The one is a mining permit that covers 5 hectares. Then you get a prospecting permit that can cover any amount of hectares, and then you get the mining right, which is normally over larger areas. So the one designed in the current legislation for the smaller miner is the mining permit. the cost attached to applying for a mining permit is in the vicinity of 150,000 rand. That is before the applicant bought a pick or a shovel or a wheelbarrow or a sieve. That's just the cost, the administrative cost to get the license. And a part of the illegal side of the business is when you talk to these people, which I did in person, they say to me, I cannot wait for 15 months or 18 months to get a proper permit. I haven't got the time for that. I'm hungry now. I need to work now. I cannot afford the cost attached to it. So what's my alternative? I can start tonight if I do it illegally. And that's what is happening. And sadly, lots of lives have been lost due to no control over the illegal operations. And it is my heart that we should do everything in our power to stop that.